ascension of Jesus into heaven marks exactly 40 days after his rising from the dead. And it's the very first time that our human flesh ascended into heaven. It's very beautiful that God takes our humanity into the Godhead, and it shows that he's gone to prepare a place for us. So death is so unnatural for us because it's a separation of our body from our soul. And yet we know that our body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, which is why we profess in the Apostles' Creed that we believe in the resurrection of the body. In fact, we won't be complete until the end of time where our bodies are also reunited with our souls in heaven. So let's try to treat our bodies with respect on earth. That's one lesson we can take from this Feast of the Ascension. But Jesus ascends into heaven not so much to distance himself from us, but so that he can become even closer to us. It's amazing. He says, unless I go, the Holy Spirit will not come to you. The Spirit of Jesus, this Spirit, St. Paul says, is poured into our hearts, enabling us to cry out, Abba, Father. So Jesus is with us always, especially through baptism. He comes to dwell in us. The period 40 days is also a significant period of time. We know we have the 40 days of Lent, and this always marks the end of one epoch and the beginning of another. So for us, or for the apostles, this was a time where they also learned many of the lessons that Jesus wanted them to learn before they would be sent out. But he says, don't worry, you're not going to be sent out alone. You will receive the Holy Spirit and he will give you power. You will be my witnesses. So I think a good question for us is, what does our life witness to? Now, sometimes we just seek comfort. I know I do. But comfort is always opposed to mission. In fact, it's only when we know the need of God that he's able to come into our life. And so this is paradoxically why sometimes the sufferings are able to unite us even more perfectly and beautifully with Jesus. But his last command is an important one, I think, for us also to listen to. Go, baptize all nations in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teach people to follow all that I command them. And we're invited or instructed to keep the commandments of Christ in our life and to teach others to do the same. That's because the content of faith is not something natural, it's something supernatural. And so we can't have a relationship with God unless it's revealed. Yes, we're all spiritual beings, and so we can feel like we're spiritual and transcending ourselves, but again, it's going to remain a natural transcendence unless it's based on the supernatural reality of the faith. And so this is the importance that we are invited to teach people to open themselves up to receive the Holy Spirit so they can start living a relationship with God on earth so that it will come to completion and perfection in heaven. Now, Monday we're celebrating, the bishops of Australia are entrusting Australia to Our Lady Help of Christians, our national patron. Some bishops are doing it on the Sunday, but Monday is a feast. So you'll be able to pick up this entrustment prayer from the parish centre if you're coming for Holy Communion on Sunday. And I invite you and all your families to do the same. But it was in these 9-day period between the Ascension and the Pentecost that the church gathered around Mary. Mary being the spouse of the Holy Spirit who brought Christ to earth the first time in the flesh of her womb, and then spiritually preparing for the outpouring of the Holy Spirit with the apostles. Because we know that, as we heard in the first reading, Christ, our head, has gone where we, his body, hope to follow. So we ask Mary to intercede for us, to help us open up to receive all the gifts of the Holy Spirit that are always given for mission, knowing that when we're clothed with this power on high, then we can be the witnesses in the mission that Christ entrusts to us.